The person must be of sound mind if they are voting. The person must be of sound mind if they're standing as a candidate. I'll come to that shortly, but let me just welcome Dr. Abdul Karim Hakim, who is lecturer, Department of Theatre at University of Ghana. Good morning to you.
Good morning,
sir. Yeah. I hope both of you are well.
Very well.
We're doing great.
Yes, great. But I wanted to take your thoughts on that. What do you make of that when the Constitution says the person must be of sound mind? Mr. Kumsi makes a point that not everybody that's properly dressed,
and it's very correct,
is of sound mind. But do you find that we don't pay enough attention to that?
Yeah, I think that is an unfortunate narrative in Ghana. You know, when you are expecting very viral people who are very healthy, and sound in the mind, to run a country, and we don't pay much attention to the issues of mental health of people, then it means that as a country, we are just not caring about productivity.
Okay.
Because a sound mind, resides in a sound body, healthy body. And you need a sound mind to make decisions. How you feel, how you think, how you behave must actually be so much in line with with functionality. Okay. So as far as you can think well, you can behave well, feel well, and will enable you to really adapt, to be able to be productive, to be able to meet your aspirations. Then you are someone who can say healthy. So as a country, when we don't emphasize on these matters, to the extent that even the mental health sector, we don't even fund it. If I tell you the budget government gives to the mental health sector, it will be surprising to you that we are not even getting more than 2% of the total budget for the health ministry going to mental health sector.
Okay.
So I think it's something that as a country we have not prioritized.
But how do we determine that? Whether or not somebody is of sound mind?
Of course, we can only determine it from the person's behavior. We all know, at least, we all have to operate within a range of normality. Right? If a person is not thinking very well, you can see it. If a person is not behaving well, you can see it. There are 4 indicators. Productivity.
Okay.
Is a person productive in his community, in his family? Right? One's ability to meet aspirations. Is a person able to meet his aspirations? Is a person being fruitful? And then the most important one, is a person able to cope with normal stresses of life?
Okay.
So if the person really veers off all these 4 key domains, something is wrong. And so I like what the previous speaker was saying, that not everybody working in suit, right, is well. And so we also have a responsibility to open our eyes wide, open our ears, to listen to what people are saying, what people are doing, and see whether they are well or not, and possibly help them to get the needed help.
Dr. Hakim, do you have anything to add on this particular matter? I asked him because of his background.
Special area.
Yes.
Yeah, but my special area also delves into that in a different way.
Okay.
And he mentioned normal domain of life.
Okay.
If you have sound mind, you should have fellow feeling.
Okay.
And if you have fellow feeling, no matter where you are, when you become a leader, you will care about your people that you are governing. And when the Constitution says sound mind, these are the layers that the Constitution expects us to look for in the kind of leaders we elect into office. So it's very key.
Dr. Arthur and Dr. Hakim, they've taken a stand in the lead up to the December 7th. So we're a few days away from that. You've been campaigning actively. You've been part of a group of lecturers that have been campaigning actively for the National Democratic Congress and for change. Why? Because it's rare. University lecturers, sometimes you hear some of them call you and ask you, how are things going? But nobody wants to come out openly. But why have you decided to do that now? And then risks to that?
Just a simple, straightforward reason. But before that, let me also ask some questions. Have you ever seen in our national life since independence the eminent clergy go out on the streets, right, to drum home a message, that government should take charge and responsibility to stop Galamsey? Has it happened before? Have you seen our pensioners who are supposed to be resting and enjoy the fruit of their labor after many works come onto the streets to protest, and even having support from former Chief Justice and eminent people in society? We are not in normal times. And for some of us, we so much care about our country. And so when we see that, we are at a precipice where our country is actually going downhill, we cannot remain silent. We can't. And indeed, remaining silent then is complicity. It is not neutrality. So we have taken a stand. And in fact, like you read, we are more than 250, actually. A lot more lecturers want to align with what we're doing. We feel that from 1992, as a country, we decided, that we need to change the course of our national life by going the route of democracy. And so every 4 years, we need to really go to the ballot and make a decision. So what we are going to do on the 7th of December is decision-making, contestation of ideas. So we are here for two main reasons. One, to let every Ghanaian know very well that this is just a normal civic duty for everyone to vote. And everyone also has the right to vote for whoever, and has the right to align with whichever movement, party, based on the principles of the party and your own values and principles. And so we have aligned ourselves with President John Mahama. Because this is a man who was touted to be incompetent. In fact, the very first time incompetence came into our political lexicon was 2016. And somebody actually touted that. And now it has become a word. Incompetent, do you know what it means? Oxford Dictionary will define incompetence as inability, right? Not having the ability or skill to do something, the way it has to be done, right? For a vice president who has never tasted government before, right, to label a president incompetent. Now, let me tell you, this president who was deemed to be incompetent, this is a president who was able to manage the economy to the extent that at that time, the rate of the cedi to the dollar was about 4 cedis. What is the rate now? This incompetent man was the one who marshaled all resources and changed the face of our airport. At least we all know Terminal 3. What's that? This is the man who was able to put up e-blocks just to be able to fulfill this constitutional duty of making education progressively free. This is the man who left, quite a lot of money in the sinking fund, in the Ghana Infrastructure Fund, just for successive government. This man was labeled incompetent. Now, let us see what the competent people have done since they came. 8 years. We see victimization all over the place. We see our economy, on its knees. And they don't want us to talk about it. My brother, 8 years ago, you could just use 1 million Ghana cedis to get roughly 230,000 US dollars. The same 1 million Ghana cedis today, you will not even get 70,000 US dollars. And we call this man incompetent, and they who claim to be competent, this is what they have left our country with. And so we feel that where we are going, we have a moral right, and we have a constitutional duty and a civic responsibility, not to be neutral, but to step out there and let Ghanaians know where we are going and make the right decision come December 7th.
Very interesting. Yeah. And Dr. Hakim, university lecturer there, whether Baumia is in power, Mahama is in power, they will pay you.
Yes.
For the work you have done.
Exactly.
In fact, you can even, if you want to improve conditions of service, you have UTAC. You shout for 3 days, they will give you what you want. So, why? Because everybody talks about how our political space can be vindictive.
Yeah.
Why come into that space in a manner that you identify with a particular political party when you work for the state?
Yeah. They say, there's a saying that says that the goat might be harmless, but when driven to the wall, will surely fight back. Now, if you read our statement carefully, there's a paragraph that says that we have seen firsthand the dimming of opportunities for our youth, the stifling of their potential by a system that has lost its moral compass. When our students look to us, their eyes filled with uncertainty about their future in this land. Our hearts break with the weight of their unspoken fears. When we are in the classroom, we don't only lecture. We serve as inspiration to these young ones. We guide them. We serve as parents because their parents are not there. And they look up to us to say, this is where the nation is going and it is bright. But we cannot tell them that. You understand?
Okay.
And fortunately for us, these are renowned scholars who have come together to say that where the nation is heading is not the right way. And if we, as scholars who research, don't come out to point out what is going on, then nobody will do that. And if the clergy is coming out now to say that, no, you've shirked your responsibility when it comes to Galamsey, we those who research on the economy, we those who research on on culture, we those who research on governance, why must we remain silent? And these are the reasons why we decided that enough is enough. Let's guide the country. Let's make sure the country understand that where we are heading is not the right way. Let's tell them that this is the best alternative for all of us. And that is why the University of Ghana lecturers decided that this is what we are doing.
To come to this conclusion, you must have convinced yourself that the government has failed to do at least its basic duty, because sometimes there's crisis that you try to solve and it takes time for you to deal with the issue. Where do you think this government has failed?
Well, on several fronts. For me, what touches me so much is the issue of Galamsey.
Okay.
Galamsey had been there. I mean, way back before I was born. We've seen, I have uncles, I have brothers who have been in this business before. But we have never seen, this extent of, destruction of our lands and our water bodies, ever in our national life. We had a president who came out boldly. I'll put my presidency on the line. But we have government functionaries who are neck deep in this. This journalist just decided to be, a citizen and not a spectator, and to have been following this and have been reporting what is happening. We saw what happened to him recently. This Joy FM journalist, what happened to him recently, and yet we are not having that commitment, from government to really stop this menace. In fact, I personally really did a campaign, on this, and so on my status, for instance, I was always posting pictures, of these things. For the public to know really what is happening. And I had people in these Galamsey areas who were telling me stories, giving me all these pictures. My brother, it's so frightening. It's so frightening. It is an existential threat. Now, I'm a community psychologist, and you realize that wherever community has been cited, one of the key considerations is water body. Because water is life. So if our water bodies have been so polluted that now they're going into our sea, and our sea is also getting polluted, and we still cannot gather all the machinery of the state, the security apparatus, to stem this. But where are we going now? Where are we going? So at least I would want to even single it, on this issue of what Galamsey, but there are quite a lot. But I want to focus on it's something that is of a passion to me, because people's lives are under threat, and we want to see that commitment. We want to see government crack the whip, right? Just so we can restore our bodies.
What are you expecting of government? Because when you say crack the whip,
yes,
what do you expect them to do?
How about a punishment? Punishment is to reform and to deter. So when people are neck deep, right, engaging in this national sabotage, this treasonable acts, and we, as a country, we don't even see it as a national emergency. And I saw the coalition of journalists in this area even pleading that government should declare this a national emergency, just so the whole national attention will be on it. We don't see it as something of a priority, and so nothing was done about it. Now, in fact, one of the promises that was given to the labor, union, just to hold on with their strike, was that government will return, to the table and then try to engage in some measures, more or less, come up with some bill or something. Parliament resumed, and we also what happened? That was not even something of a priority. They were just fighting for where they will sit in Parliament. And as we speak today, Galamsey is still going on. Right. So I think we have had comedy of, failures and errors and disappointment, dissolution, and I wouldn't want to say lies, but I think we just say platitudes. We just speak a lot, but we don't have the commitment to follow it with action. And please, Ghana is a very rich country. Ghana is a blessed country. And our fortune should not be what we're seeing. And so when we appoint people and they swear the oath that they will want to protect us and our resources, we must really hold them in check and demand accountability. Otherwise, there will not be any Ghana. And this is my personal commitment. I'm not doing this because of NDC, because of Mahama, but as a citizen of Ghana and as somebody who has decided to always do whatever I have to do as a conscious citizen to ensure that at least Ghana can be safe for our children and children.
Do you agree with him on the matter of Galamsey, Dr. Hakeem?
I more than agree with him. The reason being that I am a theatre for development expert. So most of the work I do are in communities.
Okay.
The last project I did was in Manson Kwanta.
Okay.
And like I say, Galamsey has no gender. You see the male, the female, everybody in it. To the extent that even sometimes you engage community elders and they tell you how these atrocities is rampant in all these communities being perpetrated by who? The powers that be.
Okay.
And that is why this problem is not being solved.
That the people who are in power
Yes.
are part of the menace.
They are not a part of the menace. They are neck deep in it. You understand? And if a leader would oversee the destruction of his or her communities, then that person does not fit to be called a leader. And if that person is seeking your mandate, I think good conscience says that come out and make people know that these are not the right people to lead us. And that is why you see university lecturers. And trust me, you've heard about University of Ghana lecturers. There are more coming out from all over Ghana.
Well, so far the numbers I've seen are
Yes.
sizable for University of Ghana.
Yes, but this is not even the entire number in terms of even University of Ghana alone. And mind you, we are even talking about lecturers. We are not talking about what the staff.
Okay.
So imagine we go beyond that. And what is driving all of us to come out is because we've seen that no, it is enough. Let me take you to public history. We were here when the president came out to promise everybody there will be no what? Haircuts.
Okay.
What happened? We were here when the president came out to say there will be no family what? And friends government. What happened? We were here when the president came and said that what? I put my presidency on the line. What happened? So you see that what? Throughout the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, one thing that is sure, rhetorical sophistry. They don't mean anything they profess. So they tell you A, but they give you what? B. And this does not augur well. That is why today, no youth will tell you that the country is heading what? In the right direction. 2 weeks ago, we conducted a research on youth participation. And one of the questions we asked them is the country heading in the right direction or the wrong direction? Over 70% of the youth say that the country is heading in the wrong direction. That is a national security threat. And it behoves on us, the lecturers who engage these youth, the lecturers who go into the communities and see the atrocities and canker that is happening there, to come out and tell the Ghanaian community that if we don't change the government, where we'll be heading towards, nobody will be able to salvage it. But we are lucky. At least John Mahama and the NDC have a credible alternative. Not just an alternative, but a government that would give hope again to the citizenry. And that is why we see intellectuals coming out to direct Ghanaians and say, this is where we must all go.
So, if you permit me, I would like to just add to what my brother has said about the issue of, rhetorical sophistry. I reached out for the inaugural speech of President Akufo-Addo on the 7th of January 2017. Now, he quoted Professor Kofi Buzia, right, and I quote, "We regard politics as an avenue of service to our fellow men. We hold our political power is to be exercised to make life nobler and happier. Our success or failure should be judged by the quality of the individual, by his knowledge, his skills, his behavior as a member of society, the standard of living he is able to enjoy, and by the degree of harmony and brotherliness in our community life as a nation," unquote. Then he went on, "We should move on to deepen our democracy. It is time to make sure that we have a true separation of powers between the various arms of government. Our parliament, the legislative arm of government, must grow into its proper role as an effective machinery for accountability and oversight of the executive, and not be its junior partner." Right? It went on and said, "Our judiciary must inspire confidence in the citizens so we can all see the courts as the ultimate arbiters when disputes arise." On and on and on. What are we seeing in our country? You see, and I think that I would have to say this, and I own these words I'm going to say. The greatest bastardization of our democracy has been what happened recently in Parliament. Yeah, I own these words. You see, let us use the law. Let us use legal means to do whatever. But I'm telling you, there's something called common sense. We saw what happened. Just the ordinary principle of separation of power. We saw what happened. Now, so, somebody vacates his seat, somebody was, cross carpets, right, in whatever form or whatever definition they can give it to it. And you can invoke certain constitutional clause, right, to ask the guy to step out of Parliament. Same has happened. And now look at what we are doing. Yes, the Supreme Court has what ruled. Go to Parliament and let's see. So you see, we need to be rational beings. Behind the Constitution, there's what? There's also the spirit. There's a spirit behind the Constitution. There's spirit and what? And there's what? The word. So let us be rational beings. Let us use common sense to resolve ordinary matters. And not always what? Use, legal means, more or less, to have our way. There because things are not going to go on for us. So I think that where we are, we all need to step up because what will save all of us is our democracy. And if our parliament is now under threat, then it means we have nothing to now hold on to. And we are expecting Ghanaians to speak against this. And so what we are doing is to tell Ghanaians that, yes, some can choose to be quiet. But some of us, Ghana is the only country we have. We have traveled all over the world and you have seen other countries. But this is where we can call our own. And so we would want to come out at this time and ensure that Ghanaians, we reset. We need to reset. We don't need upgrade of all these, negative that have gone on. We don't need upgrade of vindictiveness. We don't need upgrade of destruction of our institutional, institutions. We don't need upgrade of corruption. Upgrade of the impudence and the impunity going on. We need to reset Ghana, and we have gone through all the manifestos of the various candidates. And some of us feel the one who gives the hope for us is John Mahama. And let me say, even if John Mahama comes and we see John Mahama also go that route, you still hear from some of us. Some of us work with our conscience. We just don't do plain politics or vain politics. We are Ghanaians who feel we need to save Ghana for posterity.
So, please go ahead.
Every single youth, every single person, when he or she is growing, wants something to look up to. We say, oh, who do you admire? Who is your inspiration? What motivates you? Over the years, every single boy who grows up has somebody to say, oh, I admire this person. This person is an achiever. Seldom do you see our young ladies even get what? People they can look up to. Imagine you wake up on December 8th and your president, the vice president-elect is Jenano Pukwajima. If you have a daughter, you know that from that day, she will begin to aspire and say, yes, I can also become the president of Ghana. It has happened. When Jane became the first vice-chancellor, first female vice-chancellor, it inspired a lot of academics. Now, go round, you see, most vice-chancellors are what? Female. Come to University of Ghana, most of the top leadership are held by what? Female. Just because Jenana Opoku Agyemang took a step, and she's taking another step, and you say nobody should support it. Just at least for the largest population of our country alone, it is now a duty, a communal labor for all of us to say that this is the time for all of us to wake up. This is the time for all of us to say that no, at least let's give our female children to something to look up to.
How big a deal is that? Because very interesting. Somebody who spent her entire life basically in academia, on the campus, moving from a lecturer all the way to senior lecturer, professor, then rising to the rank of a vice chancellor, leaving that post, becoming minister for education, and then ends up being the running mate on the one of the two biggest tickets in Ghana. How big is that for an academic? Because rarely do we see academics get to that rank and then decide to come into politics.
I'll take you back to one thing. You check throughout the people who become presidents. You understand? She's the only person coming from a different trajectory, which implies that she's been through the woods. She's seen children grow, because even her special area has to do with what? That. She's seen what happens, the problems students go through. So imagine when she came as what? Minister of Education, you saw the transformation she brought. Now teachers are they are unable to speak out, because the moment you speak out, problem. You profess solutions that can even make what? The free SHS what? Policy better, then you become the enemy. Every single teacher would want a leader who is accommodating, a leader who will listen, a leader who will say, okay, how do we make it better? That is how come when she was at the ministry, she did not unilaterally take decisions that she imposed on people, but she would go down, discuss with the headmasters, she will go down, engage with the vice chancellor, she will go down, engage with the teaching staff. So together they will fashion out a solution that will inure to the benefit of the citizens of Ghana. If somebody has done this as a teacher, as a lecturer, as a vice chancellor, as a minister of education, would you change your mind in giving that person your mandate? And that person is who you need in order to be able to transform the free SHS that we all say is a good policy, but the implementation has been abysmal. And Albert Einstein told us that you can never solve a problem at the same if maybe your knowledge is 1 and then you create a problem. If your knowledge does not move from 1 to 2, you won't be able to solve that problem you created when your knowledge is 1. And for how many years? 8 good years. Still, people are complaining. Do you think they will be able to change it? No. But somebody who has even offered and proposed solution, you refuse to listen, then it is better we take you out and bring that person for the person to come and change the status quo. And that is what JDM and Jane are promising Ghanaians. And this, any academic will say, if you do all these analysis, if you put the track record of JDM, if you put what they've proposed in their manifesto alongside what MPP has done and what they are proposing, then you will not even consider MPP. And Baumia told us, he told us that we should listen to the NDC and that they've been in power for how long? If they had the solutions, why didn't they implement it? Let's flip it. Baumia and Akufo-Addo, you've been in power for how long? 8 good years. So if you had the solutions, why didn't you implement it? It means basically that you don't have the solution. So what is good for goose is good for the gander. Step out, let the competent person come and take the helm of affairs and change the status quo. And that is why you see university lecturers now taking the gown from the institutions into the town, calling on people that it's about time we began to make our stance known, but not based on just sheer partisanship, but based on intellectual analysis, observation of what has happened, and character. You understand? I'm a Muslim. They say al-kazibul haram. If even you are joking with a lie, that is haram. How much more somebody who confidently lies? You told us that when in doubt,
what the exchange rate?
And now we are watching the exchange rate and you are telling us that we should not do that. You understand? So it defies logic.
Perhaps, is it not because there's no doubt? Why are you watching the exchange rate?
Because we know
things are hard already. You are hungry. Why do you need to watch the exchange rate to know?
I'm hungry because you've not been able to manage the economy well. I'm angry because there isn't even opportunity for me to use my creativity to exploit. I'm angry because if I look at my younger ones who are going to school, they are just becoming educated illiterates. I'm angry because what is happening is impunity. And I'm angry because all the democratic institutions that we so cherish are what being bastardized. And if somebody who I will call a scholar says he can change it, came and further messed it up, then I will look to the alternative. And the alternative, JDM and Jane, they've proven they have the track. I just narrated what Jane has done. Won't you take somebody like this? And that is why I'm coming out to tell every single Ghanaian that, please, December 7th is a communal labor. December 7th is a time for us to make a decision that can make or break the country. Me, I'm a citizen. I could have stayed where I went to study. 99% of the people who are supporting JDM from University of Ghana, I mean the lecturers, most of them studied abroad. They could have stayed there, but they came back because of the love of the country. And if they see the country going in the wrong direction, it is our duty to point out that it is going in the wrong direction, and this is how we can change it into the right direction. And that is how come we are saying vote for JDM and Jane.
By the way, if you just join us, we're having a conversation with Dr. Johnny Andrew, who is Senior Lecturer at Department of Psychology, University of Ghana, and his colleague, Dr. Abdul Karim Hakib, who is Lecturer at Department of Theatre at University of Ghana. They are lecturers for change. They insist that this is the time for change. We must change. Ghana must change. There's a need to change. I recall the last time I had a conversation with, I don't recall whether it was Professor Mahama Kudugu or the earlier UTAG president, his predecessor. It was about conditions of service of university teachers. And one of the biggest challenges was that you're looking at the salary of university teachers. And they were saying that at the time when that condition of service was agreed, it was pegged to the dollar. Yeah. Now it looks like the dollar is leaving behind your salary. That if you're pegging it, then the disparity was too wide. There was a need to. How are you faring? I know a lecturer necessarily is not the richest person, but you are. Every government tries as much as possible to set your condition in such a manner that you are also not particularly very poor. How are you faring? We are all struggling, but are you out of the bracket?
Well, actually, we didn't want to more or less just come here, present our case as lecturers, but more or less to speak for the larger populace. Yes, I mean, who really want to talk, but because of vindictiveness in the system, they are afraid. At least for us, we are fortunate, that the position we find ourselves really, gives us the privilege, more or less, to speak our mind. I mean, that is how we have been trained to just speak your mind on issues. I mean, that is how an intellectual is supposed to behave. You can't just live in society and be indifferent about happiness. My brother says something. Some of us, I mean, those who know me will know very well that life wasn't easy at all. I mean, growing up, life wasn't easy at all, but by grace, we have come this far. I stood here, I was here in Ghana, and I just applied for a scholarship outside, and I got it. I didn't know how to know anyone, right? I got it for masters, for PhD. My PhD was good. I was in Norway, and anybody who knows about Norway and Norway PhD will bear me out. It was good, but we decided to come home. The PhD in Norway even entitles to have a permanent stay. If you want it, of course, yes. Okay. Yes, I mean, and there were a lot of freebies. We decided to come home, born out of passion to want to be home and also help build our country. In terms of condition of service, my brother, if that is what is really the motivation, then I think nobody will remain, in this job. Because we have had people who are living, going back to countries they used to be, because of the condition of service, right? Now, like I said, when we were there, our mind was to finish and come back. Now, one of the key issues that is really not helping us as lecturers is because we're having sleepless nights. Calls upon calls from students who all want to go abroad to study. That is a good thing. But ask them why they want to go. It is not so much about master's PhD. It's about just changing the system, just going for greener pastures. Really? And they don't intend coming back. They will tell you in the face. So it is not just about the condition of service of lecturers. I think everyone is complaining. And you see, you can give us so much, but when the dollar rate is skyrocketed, is rising, and everything is going up, at the end of the day, the money you get cannot just get enough for you, for home, and for family. And so that is something we should see it as something very national, and we all need to quickly see what we can do more or less to really stop, the depreciation of the dollar. And again, we feel our President John Mahama has been there before, and let's give him the chance to come. And he has promised quite a lot of things he can do to really, stabilize the economy. Let's give him a chance. Again, in terms of condition of service, I'm telling you, there are lecturers who don't even have a place to sit. To work. I'm telling you this. Offices. It's an issue.
Really?
I went out there and came
back. Lecturer?
I can always talk about my story. I went out there and came back. It was actually a struggle to even find a place to sit. My HOD had to be so, innovative to be able to get me a space. There are some who are still currently not having a space to sit. We are having student numbers rising with no corresponding increased infrastructure. Right? Again, we are so much overwhelmed with the numbers that we need extra hands. There are a lot of our PhDs who are finished and they're staying home. We can't hire them. Why? Because government is not ready to pay. So they will tell you there's no clearance. So this is something that is really impacting the work we are doing. It's impacting, the efficiency in the system. And we believe that something can be done. Maybe you can look at it as a national problem and then probably see a way to address.
I wanted to come to, because clearly, so on the matter of your condition when it comes to salaries and other things, that one is, we are all victims of the economy.
Sure.
So unless the economy improves, no matter how much you pay, you still have the same problem. But there are a few things that have been promised. You're saying that, so on the university campuses, one of the things you want to see a lot more, improvement in infrastructure. More school.
Important.
Okay. So it's not only about the hostels, but also about classroom blocks. Lecture blocks. Okay.
Yes. Some lecturers about 3 cramming in a small office. And the kind of work we do, you need to sometimes have one-on-one, interaction with your students. Okay. So when the student comes into your office and there's another lecturer by you, how can the student even open up, and share? So these are all constraints that we are facing, and I believe that I don't want to peg it on MPP, but I think as a country, maybe we need to come together. And when I go through the NDC's manifesto, these are things, the party has promised.
Yeah.
Right?
They promised to improve infrastructure.
Hostels here and there, and also assisting even our students. In fact, these days we are not just teaching, but we are also giving money. We are also just dishing money to our students. They come complaining. What they will eat is a problem.
So
one
you have to
fail to observe is that, you see, free SHS, of course, is good. It has given quite a lot of people access to school. What happens after secondary school? Right? After secondary school, what happens? And that is why I am so much happy that there's this policy from President John Mahama that at least first year students, when they come, they will be helped more or less, with free whatever fee.
Yeah.
Just so at least they could be able to settle well, and then scholarship opportunities will be also given.
How big a deal is that?
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. I mean, let's
they usually struggle in the first year.
Students who are very good, they can't come to class because what they will eat is even an issue. Right? Some of us have actually instituted a scholarship for students. I personally have a scholarship every year. There's a scholarship I give to students, and there are students who come to me that I assist with my meager salary. And there are other interventions that some of us have gone out of our way to do. Right, so we all should be Ghanaians, whatever we are. I mean, we cannot continue to always complain, but whatever we are, we should also try to show the Ghanaians in us and support the system. But at the larger level, the macro level, we need to reset. We need to reset. That is something we cannot it's not a negotiable something. We need to reset and see how best we can get our country running again. Yes.
Well, why the faith? You seem to have so much faith in John Dramani Mahama, especially, and the National Democratic Congress. Where's that faith coming from?
When you've been constantly, you hear somebody is incompetent, to the extent that unconsciously you tend to even believe it. Then we change government, and then you are inundated with cluelessness.
Okay.
So you claim somebody is incompetent, but you don't even know what you are doing. Okay. They will say, in the absence of nothing, you will even say bad is good, because there's nothing. But in this case, somebody is proving that he can do it because he's done it before. My colleague was talking about bad lecture halls, inadequate student accommodation. That is a chain. It has a chain effect. You and I are complaining that nurses are what? Living in
droves,
huge numbers.
Big numbers.
Yes. But because the nurse sees the condition when he or she is being trained in the universities, it's nothing to write home about. You understand? And then the nurse finishes. The first thing that comes to the nurse is what? Survival. And the nurse sees the economy, looks at even the remuneration, that, I can't stay here. What would the nurse do?
Leave.
Would leave. It is the same thing happening to most of our PhD students who are graduating. Now, they don't even, you tell them, oh, come and help. They are not even thinking about that. They are thinking of what? Leaving. And this is going to even be made worse because, see, the numbers we are churning out from what? The free SHS. Now, people are complaining about what? Feeding. At what? The free SHS. The government is not what even thinking about what increasing what productivity, linking the agriculture sector so that maybe even every single school try some farming alongside so that whatever it is, this will be feeding this will be feeding that. Because if you are producing quite a number of people from the SHS, you must think of a corresponding what infrastructure in the what universities. But you are not thinking about that. And your even manifesto does not even what address that. But John Mahama is giving what alternatives. He's telling us that he will do quite a number of things. He will partner with the private sector to what? Increase accommodation on campuses. He will ensure that every first year student what your fee is what catered for. A lot of students get admission and are unable to even what because they don't have money to pay the initial fee. But if you have somebody to pay your fee for the first year, at least you will settle. And then moving on, you can access what? The student loan that he said he would enhance. If somebody is promising me this, not out of what a vacuum, but because he's done it before, I would rather believe that person. Because they say if nakedness promises you clothes, ask his name. Somebody was saying, I was listening to a television station, one of these Saturday programs, and then the host said that, what Baumia said about, if he does everything now, what would he do when he is voted for? What was said in a jest. No. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. It means he is only doing politics. He's not thinking about the welfare of the people, because there will forever be challenges. But let's see that you are solving the challenge that you have come to meet. But even now, they are not even solving the problems they came to inherit, but they are creating more problems, which implies that they cannot do anything about it. But JDM came to meet a lot of things, did what he could. Ghanaians said what? It wasn't enough. So we voted him out. But now Ghanaians have realized that we've made a mistake. And they say, Sankofa Inchi. So we are going back to the one who has been tried, tested, proven that he can do it. And I always go back to it. He is not coming to do it alone. He has a very renowned vice president who is not only a hope to our young ones, but she's a hope to every single woman in this country. And that is enough for all of us to say that let's give JDM and Jane the opportunity. And I know that when we give them the opportunity, they will do better than even what they did. Yeah.
Doctor and Arthur, you've been campaigning. Have you joined the street campaigns?
I mean, we have been doing it vigorously.
How are people responding to it?
Very positively. Very positively. Seeing lecturers out there for the first time clad in their, t-shirts. I mean, very positively, and I think it's been a great response.
Yeah.
And in fact, actually, we started at Legon, and now it's all over the place.
Yes.
All the universities you are.
Everybody they are replicating.
This
Exactly.
is not a normal time, and we need to use unconventional means to ensure that at least we research.
Unconventional means.
Yes.
Yeah, you will not ordinarily see us do this, but
A
we have
lecture.
to do it. And I want to be part of history.
Yeah.
That I supported this move towards a reset of our country. Yeah,
And
it means a lot to me.
That's a big word. The word reset. For many people, they are asking reset to where, reset to what. What do you mean? For personally, what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Reset.
Reset to what? Humble leadership, humility in leadership.
Okay.
Right. Reset to appreciating, that. Country building is not one man business,
Okay.
but everybody has a role to play. Reset to a governance where differences in opinion does not make enmity between people, right? Reset to truth, honesty. Reset to candor, Reset to protection of our national resources. Reset to a belief in the future and commitment towards investing towards the future. That is what we are for, and we believe that is something within our means. We can do it.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
can do
we
it.
can.
I mean,
That's the
Commander. I mean, one of the things that also touches me so much. Commander Sugar Factory. Sana, I've been there, and you will cry. If you look at the fact that almost $16 million was invested in that project, it's been left to rot. More than $200 million was put into Saglame. It's been left to rot. And we are talking about what? Protecting a public purse? National Cathedral. I stated my view about this cathedral when they started it.
Yeah.
And you can just Google me on Facebook. Look at what is happening. Right? You see, somebody knew that Ghanaians are religious. Right? And for religion, once people are religious, sometimes, we cannot be critical. Right? And so somebody wanted to use religion, this National Cathedral thing, more or less, to get us distracted, just so they can do whatever they want to do. And you see what the Lord is doing. You can't use the name of the Lord in vain. I stated my public view on this National Cathedral, and the evidence is here for us to see. A president assuring us that this is something of my own, commitment with my God, and I'm not going to use public funds. Look at the amount of money we have sunk into this building, to the extent that we have to collapse buildings. My friends, Ghanaians, I mean, you don't need anybody to tell you that enough is enough. And like I said, we are now in democracy. And the only way for us to really express our sentiment loudly is to just go and vote. And I want to encourage everyone to go out there on December 7th to just exercise his franchise, just so the person can be part of history.
That's interesting. The things you stated are really I don't know whether the word is ethos of democracy, honesty, candor, leadership that cares. So for you, that's basically where we should reset to.
And I see all this in Mama. I see this in Mama. Mama at some point came out and said that, well, I mean, there's difficulties and facts, and people took it out of context. Mama will come and tell you his peace of mind. Mama was asked, have you taken bribes before? Then you went out as president or as a human being. Hey, people have taken it out of context, right? Let us be human beings. Let us admit failures when we have to. If we said we are going to build airport in Cape Coast, harbor in Cape Coast, and for some reasons we couldn't do it, let us let the people know why. That is humble service, humble leadership, right? But we just don't throw. Like my brother was saying, I have the quotation here. This is show of haircut. I saw the president boldly and in his usual mannerism. There shall not be any haircut. We heard it loudly. And there was haircut, and we could not even have our dear president come and tell us, oh, Ghanaians, I said this, but now this is the different situation. So we will not go to IMF. And people were saying all manner of things. Look at us. We rushed to IMF in an ambulance. So when we do this, I think that then we are making people lose confidence, right, in our democratic system. And what happens is that when people lose confidence in the democratic system, then you are sure to know very well that the democracy itself is under threat. And any adventurer can just come in at any time. And hey, we have gone past that time. So let us protect.
There's a need to salvage it.
There's a need to salvage it. My friend, there's a need to salvage
it. Well, on the matter of reset, what's your own opinion? What he talks about, when you talk about reset, what are you thinking about resetting to?
I'm thinking about resetting where you as a journalist will know that you can do your work without the fear that tomorrow somebody will shoot you. Ahmed Swale is in context. I'm looking at reset where every single Ghanaian will wake up tomorrow and know that it can happen for him in this country. I'm looking at a reset where somebody would not say my grandfather is this or that before I can become whoever I would want to become. And that is seen in the leaders we are preaching for. I'm looking at reset whereby you know that if you get to the university, there will be what? Accommodation for you. The lecture halls will be conducive. You would study and know that indeed you can come and contribute your quota to the nation. I'm looking at a reset where you would not say I must be NDC or I must be MPP or I must be CPP before I can get an opportunity to either work in a government institution or even get employed anywhere. I'm looking at a reset where the number of tweets that I will tweet will not be the yardstick for me to be what? Employed. I'm looking at a reset where anywhere I go, I will not be judged because I have a different what? Opinion. And that is what I want Ghana to be. So that at least if my brother is a journalist, I know that what he or she is safe. If somebody says, I want to take journalism as a career, I can say, yes, go ahead. Because there are plethora of people you can look up to. But that is not the case now. You understand? Meanwhile, they claim they are the champions of what? Human rights. Unfortunately, that person we thought was the champion of human rights has proven that he is something else. I would not want to use the word that Tony Eddy used for the president. But indeed, there is the fierce agency of now. We are not living in normal times. And that is why we are calling on Ghanaians. Please, and please again, let's not make a mistake that we cannot recover from. Let's not go and vote and not police the ballot. Let's not say, oh, I am not voting because they are the same. They are never the same. We've seen it. The Ashanti will say, Monsieur Nsu, Monsieur Nsa. I've tasted what? Alcohol, I've tasted water. I know the difference. We know the difference between the governance of John Dramani Mahama and we've tasted that of Bawumia and Akufo-Addo. And I don't think any objective person would ever say that MPP should be allowed to continue. And that is why university lecturers, we are calling on every single citizen of Ghana, even if you are in MPP, at least for once, let what you are going through and your conscience dictate how you vote. And if indeed you believe in that, there's no way you would ever say, let's allow Bawumia to continue.
Great. We have to bring this to a close. So I'll take your concluding words to Ghanaians because December 7th is just today is 3rd. So we're talking about 3 days away. Yes. What will be your message to Ghanaians as they decide on who to vote for?
Very good. Well, so fellow Ghanaians, yeah, we are one people, right, with a common destiny, with rich history, right? The election is contest of ideas, right? You may have a friend who may be an MPP person, you may have a friend who may be a Movement for Change person, you may be an NDC. We are one people. There's no point in we drawing swords at each other. We are one people. Just go and exercise your franchise. It's your civic responsibility. There are choices, right? We have presented, one to you because of our firm belief that he represents, restoration and hope, right? And so let us all go out there. But I want to conclude by actually maybe sharing something from the founder of my church, John Wesley. I'm a Methodist.
Okay.
Yes, he said this, and I quote, "I met those of our society who had votes in the ensuing election and advised them, 1, to vote without fee or reward for the person they judged most worthy. 2, to speak no evil of the person they voted against. And 3, to take care their spirits were not sharpened against those that voted on the other side." We have had elections since 1992, yes. People have lost and people have won. Ghana has still remained intact. Even J.J. Rollins, when he saw the wind of change coming, he facilitated it. He never obstructed it. President Kufuor, 2008, saw the wind of change coming. He facilitated it. He did not inhibit it, right? JDM, 2016, we saw it loudly, clearly. He considered defeat. So please, nobody should think that defeat, right, is the end of life. If you're a politician and you're a matured one, learn how to accept defeat. Learn how to also be gracious in your victory. And I want to believe that come December 7th and thereafter, Ghana will be more united and we will see hope and restoration, right, of our fortunes. Thank you.
Dr. Hakim?
Let me borrow from the MPP. They say they had a wonderful slogan, Shawasitinim Nato Abapa. I think if that quotation is relevant, it is today. I implore every single citizen of Ghana, just check what you're going through, check whatever is happening, and let's allow our conscience to speak. Yeah, I'm not saying they won't bring money. They will bring money because they have deliberately put us in this condition so that when they bring the money, it could assuage a little. But know that when you take that money, by the time you finish Christmas, the money is gone and then you've come back. And that is how come I say, let's come together, preach the gospel of the resetting. Let's come together, ensure that at least every single female in our country would have something to look up to and say, I can also become the vice president or even the president of Ghana in the future, because that woman would lead the touch and ensure that now we can call a lot of women scholars as vice chancellors of universities in Ghana, is also asking us to trust her. And when we give her the mandate together with JDM, a lot of things will change in our country. So please, on December 7th, look left, look right, just go for it. The only thing you should be looking for is JDM and the umbrella. And please again, vote for the NDC and vote for JDM. Thank you.
Dr. Abdul Karim Hakim is lecturer, Department of Theatre Arts, and of course his colleague Dr. Johnny and Arthur, who is senior lecturer, Department of Psychology, both from the University of Ghana. They've been campaigning for change in this election. We had a conversation with them on their open letter that they've written to Ghanaians ahead of December 7th. Thank you, gentlemen, for making it. And extend our greetings to the other lecturers who have been involved in this campaign.
Sure.
Yes. Well, we have to take a break. When we come back, we'll come and conclude the show.
Auntie Essie and her replica. Long time. How may I help you?
Auntie Amma, our course has gained admission to the university, but the money to pay for her fees is my headache now. Where am I going to get 2,500 cedis in this Ghana? Where?
Essie, stop that. You don't have to stress about the fees. Hey, keep your cloth. John Mahama and the NDC say when they come to power, all first-year students in all public universities, technical universities, college of education and nursing training will pay no academic fees. The first year is free.
Hey, This is the best news I've heard this year. Wow.
See, that is not all. Listen! JDM says continuing students can apply and access a student loan plus, which is higher than the normal student loan, to support the payment of their fees. So when Akos goes to second year, she will have access to the student loan plus to continue her education.
Wow. God bless you, JDM.
What is so heartwarming is a free tertiary education for our brothers and sisters who are physically challenged.
JDM, God bless the stomach that gave birth to you.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
All right.
Imagine say water wake up at dawn. You know both.